Hello friends, warm welcome to all to my channel World of Zoology. We have already finished 7 points from the unit Wonders of the Animal Kingdom, and now we'll start with the next, that is nothing but the desert adaptations of the animals. These adaptive features of the desert animals will consider with respect to the two classes of the phylum Chordata. One is the Reptilia and the example is Phyrenosoma, the young one which is shown in this photograph of the Phyrenosoma, whereas the another from the class Mammalia, the animal camel with its calf is shown. First we'll consider regarding the desert ecosystem. Deserts occur around the world between latitude of 30 degree north to 30 degrees south. Rainfall in this region is less than 25 centimeters per year. Temperature fluctuates widely. They are high during daytime, that is during day hours, and low at the night time. Plants of very hot deserts are predominantly cacti and desert shrubs. Animals of the deserts include birds, rodents, reptiles, and numerous insects and other arthropoda. Also, the mammals are included in that. The evolution of desert animals has evolved delicate that consists of the between the needs of the evaporating cooling and water-based excretion and the need to conserve the water which is available less in their environment. So we'll consider the animals which are present in the desert and the adaptive features of these desert animals. Adaptation among animals may be morphological, anatomical, physiological, or behavior. That means the adaptations are divided into 4 types. Morphological means the adaptations in which we can observe the change in the external appearance of the animal. In the anatomical adaptation, we can study the internal structure, how that differs so as to adapt the animal to the desert environment. And physiological means that the adaptation which is related with the functioning of the body. And the fourth one, that is behavioral adaptation of the animal with respect to the desert environment. In this case, we'll have to consider the different genera of the reptiles and mammals which have adapted to variety of the environments and its hazards. Lack of water creates a survival problem for all desert organisms, animals, and plants alike. But animals have additional problem. They are more susceptible to the extremes of the temperature than the plants. Animals receive heat directly by radiation from the sun and indirectly by conduction from the substrate, that is from the solid substrate such as rock and soil, through the convection from the air. The biological process of the animal tissue can function only within a relatively narrow temperature range. When this range is exceeded, the animal may die. For 4 or 5 months of the year, the daily temperature in desert ecosystem may actually exceed this range of the thermoneutrality. Combined with the scarcity of life-sustaining water, survival for the desert animals can become extremely tenuous. So we'll consider various types of adaptations of the animals with respect to this environment. Fortunately, most desert animals have evolved both behavioral as well as physiological mechanisms to solve the heat and water problems. Among thousands of desert animal species, there are remarkable behavioral and structural adaptation developed for avoiding the excess of heat so as to overcome the adverse environmental conditions. Various animal species have developed ingenious and diverse mechanisms to acquire, conserve, recycle, and actually manufacture water. Avoiding heat, that is behavioral technique for avoiding excess heat, are numerous among desert animals. Many animals, especially reptiles and mammals, are crepuscular, that is, they can active only at the dusk and again at the dawn period. For the same reason, humans seldom encounter rattlesnakes and Gila monsters in this region. Many animals are completely nocturnal, restricting all their activities to the cooler temperatures of the night. Many snakes, bats, most rodents, and some larger mammals like foxes, skunks, and are nocturnal, sleeping in cool den, cave, or burrow by the day, that is during day hours. Some smaller desert animals burrow below the surface of the soil or sand to escape higher temperature at the desert surface. Rodents may plug the entrance to their burrows to keep out hot desiccating air. Certain desert lizards are active during hottest season but move rapidly over hot surface, stopping in cooler islands of the shade. Therefore, these animals, those that shows the behavioral techniques while their movement in the desert environment. Even their legs may be longer, so they absorb less heat from the surface while running. The long-tailed ground squirrel, a diurnal mammal, enter a state of estivation when the days become too hot and the vegetation too dry. They sleep away the hottest part of the summer, that is nothing but the estivation. At the same time, they can also show hibernation in the winter so as to avoid the extreme cold condition of the habitat in the cold season. Some animals dissipate heat absorbed from their surrounding by various mechanisms. These mechanisms, which are developed in the animal, show the desert, which are shown by the desert animals also, mammals also. They have evolved long legs, long appendages so as to dissipate maximum amount of heat from their body into the surrounding environment. The enormous ears of the jackrabbit with many blood vessels release heat when the animal is resting in cool and shady location. Their relatives in cooler region have much shorter ears. Many desert animals are paler than their relative which are present in the moderate environment. Fur, scale, or the skin which are paler in color and thus ensuring the animal to absorb less heat from their environment. Thus the pale color which is developed in these animals are less conspicuous to the predator in bright and pallid surrounding, and so they can the particular color can help the animal to escape from their enemy also. Adaptive features of the desert animals, which are also shown by some of the desert creatures or animals that utilize all of their physical and behavioral mechanisms to survive in the extreme of the heat and dryness. Certain desert animals such as kangaroo rat live in underground dens which they seal off to block out midday heat and to recycle the moisture from their own breathing. These native rodents may also show specialized kidneys with longer Henle's loop to extract most of the water from their urine and return it to the bloodstream. As you know that the Henle's loop shows multiplier effect, and where the concentration of the urine is carried out with the help of the long length of the Henle's loop, and more water is reabsorbed due to the large length of the Henle's loop, and urine form which is more and more concentrate, and much of the moisture that would be exhaled in breathing is recaptured with the help of the specialized organs which are situated in their nasal cavities. Furthermore, kangaroo rat and some other desert rodents actually manufacture their water metabolically by digestion of dry seeds. Some desert animals have evolved elaborate mechanism to retain water. They range from simple to physiologically complex ones. Reptiles excrete metabolic waste in the form of uric acid, which is an insoluble white compound, wasting very little water in the process. That means when we consider the reptiles' excreta, the excreta is mostly in the form of the uric acid, which is less soluble in the water, and therefore water which is required for the disposal of the excretory material is less in amount compared with the urea, and here the conservation of the water is observed for the excretion of the material, as we observed it that white scar in the excreta of the house lizard, which is also uric acid, and that serves to store more and more water within the animal body, that is retention of the water by converting excreta into less toxic material, that is uric acid, compared with the urea that requires more water for the exposure of for expelling out from the body. Next will be the acquiring water, that is the mechanism which is developed for acquiring more and more water within the body of the animal. These desert creatures, they derive water directly from succulent plants such as cacti, or have hygroscopic skin which absorb water from the atmosphere. The abundance of insect life permits insectivorous lizards, birds and bats to thrive in the desert. Some desert creatures utilize all of these physical and behavioral mechanisms to survive the extremes of the heat and dryness which is observed in their environment. These highly specialized desert mammals, they do not drink even water even when it is given to them in captivity. There are just a few examples of the adaptation used by the animal to overcome the extremes of the heat and paucity of the water in the desert. Just we have finished the first part of the topic, that is adaptive features of desert animal, and all the features are completed here, and then we'll start with the next, that is the example of the adaptive features of the desert animals. One, that is Phyrenosoma from the Reptilia class, and another will be the Mammalia, and the example is the camel from Mammalia class. Thank you for watching my lecture. Share this video for the benefit of the maximum students. Thank you once again, and we'll meet in the second part of the adaptive feature of the desert animal soon.